So we're gonna start by making our homemade pie crust. Now, of course, you could use a pre-bought refrigerated pie crust from the store, but homemade is fun and we've got time for it. So we're gonna start with our bowl of flour, and Amy's gonna whisk in the sugar, and George is gonna whisk in the salt. Go ahead, guys.
Okay.
Okay, and then stir it in. And then we're gonna start cutting in the fat. We have some ice cold butter and also some cold shortening.
I love sugar, so I might eat a whole pack of it sometimes.
Oh, I'm sure. The fat has all been worked into the dry ingredients, and so now we're slowly gonna start adding in some ice water. About 10 tablespoons usually does it. The key is to make sure it's super, super ice cold because we want the dough to stay as cold as possible too. So we brought the dough together into one big ball, and then we cut it in half because we're gonna only work with half of the dough at a time. And now on a floured surface with a floured rolling pin, we're just rolling it out until it's about 1/4 inch thick. Now there's a couple of options here for the Pop-Tarts. You can use a knife to cut equal size squares. You could use like a hand pie style folding. We're just gonna use a biscuit cutter to trim out a bunch of little rounds of dough.
I'm gonna do it.
So we have our little rounds of dough cut out, and we're gonna start making the filling. Now, of course you can make homemade filling, but we have some preserves here that are just as delicious. We've chosen cherry, and we're gonna add a little bit of lime zest. George, do you wanna add in the lime zest?
Yeah.
This part definitely tends to get a little messy, but it's also the most delicious part, so let them get in there. All right, I lied. This is actually the messiest part. So we're taking the tops, and each little jelly topped round of dough gets one plain top. And you can have your kids just kind of help set them on there. Way to go, George. Perfect. And then, grown-ups, go back around with a fork and crimp the edges. Don't push too hard, please. Go back with a fork and crimp the edges, and this is gonna help to make sure everything stays sealed. While our Pop-Tarts were baking, I went ahead and got started on the glaze. I just combined a little bit of the preserves with some water, and then I whisked it and strained it out so that we were just left with this colorful liquid. And now we're gonna stir in some powdered sugar. Okay, we added just enough powdered sugar to the icing to where it got nice and thick because we really
like gooey gum.
It's like gum. Exactly. Okay, just add powdered sugar until it's the consistency of gum. And then put it on top of your Pop-Tarts. It's gonna seem kind of thick, but we really want it to coat and not just like slide off the top of the Pop-Tart. So go ahead and get started.
Okay, can we do it? Yeah.
The finished product are these adorable little pastries that are just so tasty and delicious, and they feel more like a dessert item, but definitely passes breakfast, which is kind of what we all really are craving these days. So give them a try and let me know what you think.